Why don't we kick things off with a discussion of Apple Music? We got a little update on some of their subscriber numbers this week.
That's right. So this week, Services Chief Eddie Hu disclosed that Apple Music has now hit 60 million paid subscribers. And Apple doesn't really disclose their music subscription numbers on a regular basis. Like, they don't include it on quarterly earnings necessarily. They just announce when they hit these certain milestones. So the last update was 50 million back at the end of January when they announced earnings. So we're talking about, about 10 million subscribers in about 5 months. And Apple Music is getting a lot of big changes this year with iOS 13 and Mac OS Catalina. We're talking about some interface improvements. They're adding some stuff like time sync lyrics. But a big one is also that they're unbundling iTunes finally on the Mac and splitting it into 3 different apps to better focus the experience on these specific content categories. So it's going to become Apple Music and then podcasts and then Apple TV. And iTunes has been around for like 20 years, so it's been getting bloated and bloated over that time. And software chief Craig Federighi actually even joked about this earlier this month at the developer conference, saying they're going to add like a calendar to iTunes, add a dock to the iTunes. He's just joking around, but point is that it's about time to really split these things up, because combining Apple Music with iTunes has always been kind of a confusing mess, where it's like your subscription catalog is right next to all the stuff you might have bought a few years back. And it's never really made a lot of sense. So it's actually a good thing that they're splitting it up, and that will probably help them grow more in the future going forward too.
Yeah, I remember when they first launched Apple Music, they were running into issues where there was like double counting in people's libraries, or like things that they had bought had disappeared because they were now on the subscription model where they were streaming stuff. And so anyone that had a very delicately curated iTunes account might not have been so happy being an early adopter of Apple Music. They worked a lot of those kinks out, but I think that this is something that people should generally be happy about from a user experience perspective. The big ticket thing here, though, is that subscriber number. And I think it's pretty clear at this point, Apple Music is far and away one of the big wins for them on the service side.
Right, and he also confirmed that Apple Music is their largest first-party service, which isn't really surprising. But they have been launching all these different services over the years, and I mean, most recently News Plus, and then they're about to launch Apple Arcade, which is a gaming subscription business, and then TV Plus later this year for original video content. But they've also been building up this iCloud storage business too, which they've said has grown quite a bit. They've never really given really hard numbers around it. But yeah, so he did confirm that Apple Music is the biggest. And just to kind of put some of these numbers into perspective, at 60 million, Apple is the number 2 in terms of paid music streaming. Spotify is number 1, and Tencent Music is number 3. So Spotify has like 100 million. Tencent Music has about 28 million. And those top 3 companies represent roughly 70% of all paid music streaming subscriptions in the world. So, I mean, those 3 players are just, the by far, in a way, like carry most of the weight here.
Evan, you don't tweet often, but you tweeted earlier, and you had this awesome chart that you put together that breaks down the recording industry basically by revenue. And we are getting very close to a milestone of the streaming businesses overtaking the majority of the revenue for the music industry, which is pretty incredible. It's been pretty quick.
Right. So earlier this year, the trade group International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, or IFPI, put out some figures regarding the global music industry, and what they found was that at the end of 2018, there was a little over 250 million global paid subscriptions. And separately, Goldman Sachs recently estimated that should grow to 1.15 billion by 2030. So that's just massive upside in terms of where this market is going. But to kind of get to the number that you're referring to, their figures showed that streaming was 47% of industry revenue last year, compared to 2% in 2008. So that's a massive change over the course of 10 years. And I think it's pretty clear that paid music streaming is really the future of this industry and where it's going.
And this industry has seen a revival because of streaming. We were seeing declining revenue in the industry for an extended period of time as people weren't buying physical versions of any content, and they weren't necessarily even paying for content via iTunes because it was so easy to get music illegally. I think streaming has helped curb that because the user experience is so good.
Right. And I think that people are starting to appreciate the value proposition of, paying the subscription fee, but now you get access to tens of millions of songs versus just going out and buying a couple albums at a time. And I think that even though on average, the average consumer now does spend about twice as much on music on an annual basis, because of this shift to the stream model. But I think people are finding that it's worth it because, I mean, $60 over the course, $60 more over the course of the year is not like make or break for most people. But now you can listen to basically anything you want at any time. So I think people are really appreciating that model, and that's where we're going.
Yeah, you think about the value prop there. I mean, for what would probably be the cost of like 6 to 8 physical CDs, you can access any piece of music anywhere basically for an entire year. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
And plus, it's on all your devices now too. It's not like you have to go have your CD with you, carry it around, plug it in your car dashboard or something. It's like you can access these services from like anything, like smart speakers, phones, tablets, computers, cars. Like it's just everywhere. So yeah, I think that's also really reinforced the value proposition.
Plus, you have less things collecting dust in your house. You know, all those old CD towers. What are you going to do with them? You know, not going to happen with your streaming music, Evan.
Turn them into coasters.
I'm sure that there's like some hipster coffee shop where that is happening right now, Evan.